You talk about sex for a living. Did you just like one day say, sex is amazing, I want to talk about it forever?
No.
Doesn't seem like it's really going down. Okay, a little more.
Wait.
Logan, just
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I think this is the issue.
You mean me?
Maybe.
I'm the
It could
issue.
be you. There you go. I don't know how you like your pores. So
I like my pour in the glass. All right.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Here we go.
I have been talking about sex since I was 15 or 16 years old. My parents were super involved in HIV and AIDS fundraising and education, and it was the early 1990s when all of a sudden the conversation around HIV and AIDS was changing. One day, my sister and I came home after school and there were condoms and bananas on our dinner table, and my parents said, this is how you use a condom, and next week you start peer training to become an HIV and AIDS educator.
So they did this to you.
I don't think they imagined that was going to be the foray into my career, but you know, for whatever reason, I had a talent talking about these things. Probably because I wasn't having any sex, it was a lot easier to talk about it. I wound up going to college and I found myself in this space where my friends and I, who were fairly, smart, sophisticated young women, we were all making the same really stupid decisions about our sexual relationships. No equity in our relationships, no pleasure, not even considering what we wanted out of these partnerships. And I just thought there really has to be a better way. I took whatever voice I had and was talking about safer sex and protection.
You're like Spider-Man for sex. With great power
I like
comes
that
great
concept.
responsibility. Yeah. Do you think we need to drink a little
Sure.
more? Okay, watch.
I don't consider any questions strange at this point, and I don't think I ever have. I was teaching last week a group of seniors in high school. This young man raises his hand and says, so I have a question. It's not for me. It's not for me. I'm like, okay, clearly it's not for you. How do I last longer? And then just the whole class was like, I can't believe he asked that. The first thing I said was, well, that comes with age. So, good luck with that. One of the questions I've been asked a lot lately by teenagers, which makes me so sad. How do I ask about consent without seeming awkward? How do I say it's my first time without seeming awkward? Guess what, right? I mean, like, sex is awkward.
It's awkward. No
Talking
matter
about bodies,
the first time you sleep with a new person, it's always awkward.
50th time.
I think I said, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. Is my mom gonna watch this?
I always tell them to own the awkward. Don't be afraid of saying, this is uncomfortable for me to say, but I want this, or I'd like to do this. For me, when someone says like, well, what if their response is, oh God, that's so weird, why would you ask that? I'm like, oh my God, what a great litmus test for like a shitty partner.
I used to work at a women's health organization. One of my colleagues was flying back from somewhere in the Midwest. They gave her as a thank you gift a glass dildo.
Oh.
And she got stuck in airport security.
With
and they
it.
found it. They did
Yeah.
the whole check and she was so embarrassed. It's her job, but she was like, cool, this is nice.
I'm a very good friend, and if we're traveling like as adults, I am typically one that brings, toys for everyone.
Oh, nice.
Accessories, enhancements. And occasionally I've had my bag opened and they'll just look in and smile and look at me and like wink and close the bag back up.
You're like Santa Sex Claus.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The Jewish version, but yeah.
Yeah.
I have a son who's 14 and a daughter who's about to be 10.
Are you their worst nightmare? Are they like, my mom just talks about sex for a living?
There's nothing that phases them, right? The things that people get like really giggly and spread gossip and rumors about, for them, this is no big deal. This is who their mother is.
How did you do the talk with them? Did you have an official talk?
No,
or
we had
was
like
it an
1,000.
evolution?
The barrier that so many people have is that we have like this one talk where everyone like does this like verbal diarrhea. Bleh. They realize afterwards, oh my God, that's absolutely not what I wanted to say. We're constantly talking about sexuality. When we talk about bodies, when we talk about gender roles, it makes the big talks about sexual behaviors a lot less threatening when you realize like you've been doing it the whole time. My son, for his free reading book in English, decided he was gonna read the last book I wrote. And I come in, he's in bed, I go to give him a kiss, and he's like, oh, by the way, on page 97 tonight, I found out when you had sexual intercourse for the first time. And I went, oh, I totally forgot that was there. I said, do you have any questions? He's like, no, all good.
So what's the weirdest euphemism you've heard? Mr.
All euphemisms are bad.
Name a few.
I
Mr. Winkle.
oh,
I just made that up.
I am that person.
You say
who,
vulva?
Oh, yes.
Let's jump to that.
And there's nothing better than hearing like your kids publicly talk to their grandparents like, oh, you have vulvas too? My closest friend had a daughter. She was changing the baby. She says, Aunt Logan's never seen a baby gynae. And I looked at her and said, "You have a vulva. It's not a gyny. Don't ever let your mother call it that." Innately, no matter what body parts you have, whether you are assigned male, assigned female, intersex, bodies have the capacity for pleasure, regardless of your relationship status, regardless of your sexual orientation. You can't be a sexually healthy person without having pleasure or knowing that you have the right to pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You just did your first wine and dine.
Yeah,
What
on
was that?
camera nonetheless.
Gyny? Gyny?
A baby
Wine and
gyny.
gyny?
Oh,
Oh,
please
sorry.
don't. That
I
hurts
I
so
just
much.
did it.
I'd rather you say baby clitoris than